Well, here's a shot of the new pickup. She's an 88 F-150. Got the 5.0 with the AOD automatic, four-wheel drive, as you can probably tell. Overall, it's a pretty straight truck. The headlights kind of wash out the front end a little bit, but you can kind of see it's got a few whiskey dents and dings on this side. Overall, this side's pretty good other than a little rust. Dings and dents in the hood, as you would expect. The worst of it is right here. It's got a big old whiskey dent right in the center here. Unfortunately, this is probably, or fortunately, this is probably the worst of it. And the adjoining little kink in the door here. This is really the worst of it. The nice thing is there's no hard creases in here. So I think we're going to try to beat this out. This is probably the worst of the creasing right up in here along this edge. So we're going to try to fix this and pull this out. My buddy is going to help me try to work that out. Same thing over right here. You can see it's got a little belly in the panel right here. No hard body line creases, but same thing, just kind of a little dent in there. Obviously, a little bit of the old weight reduction. It's good for speed, good for performance. Same with down there. Overall, though, it's not a bad truck. The tailgate had the band on it at one point. It's probably either fell off or was removed. We'll just take out the little bits that hold it here and just leave it, honestly, because it looks pretty good without it. The paint's not terrible on the section that it's leaving, and I'll probably just paint the letters in to just kind of make it pop a little more. It's a little rusty, definitely, but actually, it's not rotted. You feel underneath it, it's not rotted, is the funny thing. It's got rust, but it's not rotted. Like, it's got surface rust, obviously. At the moment, latch is busted. The linkage in the bed here, you probably can't see that, but I'll get some better pictures in video here in the daylight. But the linkage that's in here is froze up. It's been sitting for a while, so we're going to try to break that free and get the tailgate loose. It's got some junk in the bed here we gotta dig out, but it's got a nice rubber bed mat down under it. Can't really tell too well, but it's got a nice bed mat under there. New back window. The truck was actually at one point broken into, and they attempted to steal it. The guy, though, that I bought it from had it parked at a buddy's shop, and unfortunately the thieves tried to bust the column out, and they ended up damaging the column and messing it up. The amazing thing is, though, all of the dash lights, all of the gauges, except the fuel gauge. Fuel gauge does not work. It's got twin tanks. The rear tank, he said, has not been used in a while. He said it probably still works, but he just hasn't used it ever. The sender does not work. The front fuel gauge sender does not work either. So I don't know if there's something funky in the wiring or whatnot. But I mean, you see the headlights. You know, switch works good and all that. Wipers all work, although the knob is busted the knob off. So, but I mean, it's got blinkers, you know, all fully functional. Got a pretty snazzy radio in it. Works pretty good. Can't really see in this light, unfortunately. This is the only thing is it ain't got no steering. Well, it's got steering. It don't got power steering. The steering gearbox in the front is just totally destroyed. Thankfully, got a buddy. He says he's got one, also another column here. So we're going to swap the column, swap the gearbox over, kind of get that rebuilt, as it were, rebuilt. Hopefully, also I'll find a different wheel. These wheels are all right, but he thinks he's got a wood grain wheel, and in this era they were the same as the earlier. The column itself was, so you can swap that in, and he's got one with the cruise and the horn system, same as this would have, because this was a very loaded down truck. This is a XLT Lariat truck, so it's a bench seat. I know you probably can't see it too well, but it had AC, had the cruise, has the power windows, which work amazingly enough, power door locks, which work. A little bit of delete on the pull here, that's all messed up, and unfortunately we're probably gonna have to figure that out because it's kind of hard to find these nowadays. Same thing with the door panel itself is just kind of pulled apart, so we're gonna figure that out. But underneath here, Probably not going to be able to see a ton, but got a great running 302. If I can get my fingers in the hood release. There we go. Hood is not really dinged up at all. Oh, and you can't see anything hardly. Well, there's a 302 in there. Pretty much, I put a battery in it that I had, put some gas in it, and it's running like this. So, great running truck. I need to do a little bit of work here and there, some other minor stuff, but the guy I bought it from told me it had a couple issues. He thought it had a cracked timing cover, thought it had a the column was bad and all that from the break-in, and that's all still actually true. The column part is, but I'm not sure it's actually got a cracked timing cover, or if it does, I don't think it's that bad. If you look up underneath there, it's got some custom exhaust. Now you can't see it, but it's glass packs held up with baling wire, so that's a plus. Really like that. But yeah, we'll get you some more video here in the daylight once I get a chance. But yeah, we just brought her home, and this is going to be the new daily. The old Ranger over there is the current daily, and she's getting a little bit down for me. And I don't know, I just, like, for some reason, this massive pile of awesomeness is easier for me to justify spending money on than that. I don't know, maybe I'm just a little weird, but yeah. So we'll bring you back here in the daylight, and I'll show you a little bit of what we got here. One other thing here, I'll go grab a light quick, and I'll show you the one downside to this thing. Aside from some mechanical work, there's well, you can kind of see it, but there's kind of a big downside right in here that we got to take care of. So we'll be right back. All right, well, we're back, and as you can kind of see in this with the flashlight here, you can kind of see some of the deal with the paint. It's pretty well fading. I don't know if you can see though. I have kind of tried to buff it in a couple spots, and the buffing really hasn't really done much. A lot of that weird fading and all that has kind of just been really embedded in the paint. Although if you see here, I've kind of dug on the edges a little more, just trying to see if I could even bring it out around some of these areas, and it is bringing a little bit of the shine out. I know you probably can't see in this light, but it's doing a little bit. So we might see if we can actually buff this out here. And I've got some I just was buffing it with a wool pad, kind of screwing around, because, well, we can't really screw it up any more than it already is. So, but this is the one downside. The rust checker here, yeah, she failed the test. It's got quite a bit of well, actually quite a lack thereof floor and of cab mount. As you can kind of see, she's pushing up in the center, kind of right there. So that's going to be one of the biggest things. Also, we're going to probably delete that door dinger, because it sounds like it died about 10 years ago and it is brought back to life unwillingly. The weird thing is, and y'all have to let me know in the comments if you've ever seen anything like this. Trucks here, well, here, I'll show you. We'll go back over to Blue here. Don't worry, have not forgot about Blue. If y'all haven't seen a previous video, I am currently waiting on, well, some head gaskets. I had to go through a different supplier. The person I originally purchased it from was unable to deliver, so I got to get another set of those coming. But the main reason I wanted to come in here, actually the other side would be a little easier to see. The rockers on these trucks normally, at least in this era of pickup, they normally rust out in a very as expected way. The rocker will rust, and it'll rust out around here. This has had a cab mount replaced, so, but you can kind of see where the rust originally was. And then up here where I haven't fixed it, you'll see they kind of rust out up in and around here. And then the floor pan here, you kind of see where I patched in a couple of sections of steel. They'll kind of rust in the edges here. But overall, this main structure here doesn't tend to rust before this is just completely gone. They'll kind of rust from the outside in. And on that side, that's what happened there. The whole outside rusted, and the cab mount started to actually go, but it didn't fail before that was completely gone. On this truck, it's actually done something that is, I don't want to say the complete opposite, but I've never seen one do this. The passenger side here is kind of rusting as you would expect. Not really rusty at all. A little bit of surface rust over there, a little bit on here. The cab corner's just barely bubbling. Overall, pretty solid. If I look up underneath, okay, a little bit of flaky rust, a little bit of crustiness up under here, a little bit of flaky rust, nothing too bad.